All right, everybody. Peace and power and elevation be to all you beautiful people out there. For those of you that watching, this your girl Tiffany coming through here live in the fade. Today I had to switch it up. All right, I had to switch it up because I seen something that's very appalling. And when I say very appalling, I mean very appalling, and it's very amusing because I don't know. It's just interesting when people go around giving relationship advice, right, to individuals, and their lives is not in order, or there's some type of chaos going on taking place with them. Now, I seen a video happen to be circulated on TikTok, right, from an individual who I am very familiar with. So she was giving her commentaries and thoughts on Lori Harvey, Steve Harvey daughter, and Michael B. Jordan. All right, so according to pop culture, these two were, I guess, Michael B. Jordan was planning on marrying Lori Harvey, and she didn't want to marry him. She turned him down. So people, the relationship experts on Facebook and Twitter alike, they want to give their views on where the Lori Harvey was doing the right thing, or was she not doing the right thing, etc. So this video is just very appalling. And let me show you why. I'm gonna play the video only because it's just so. This video is funny. And see, I've known this person and I'm familiar with this person's talking point. Okay. Now, don't get me wrong. This individual is very intelligent and very smart, but I think also a lot of the stuff that she say, or certain things that she say, can be very misleading. And this happened to be one of them. Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this video for you guys so y'all can hear. Intact, well-dressed, articulate, driven, 25 M's. Pawns to Lori Harvey is a bad bitch. I teach women how to go from pawns to queens real quick. This was posted by a man. 35 years old, physically fit, hairline intact, well-dressed, articulate, driven, 25 M's in the bank, highly respected in this field, no kids, grew up in a two-parent household, opened up about his feelings when he always kept his personal life private in the past, and was described as being caring, affectionate, and romantic. Didn't care about past alleged relationships with Diddy's son, and future. Rumors are he wanted to get married and start a family, and that's what caused the rift. If they're not ready, they're not ready, and if they aren't, it doesn't matter what someone brings to the table. His description romanticizes Michael B. Jordan as the perfect man, knight, shining armor, and Prince Charming. Queens don't operate that, and they don't buy into fantasies or illusions. They keep it real. The queen is the most powerful piece on the chessboard because she is free, uninhibited, and can move anywhere on the board that she likes. Law number 20 of the 48 Laws of Power: do not commit to anyone. It is the fool who always rushes to take sides. Do not commit to any side or cause but yourself. By maintaining your independence, you become the master of others, playing people against one another and making them pursue you. You have to understand that men want power and control, and they seek to conquer and destroy. Him not caring about past alleged relationships with Diddy's son, and future only indicate that he felt that they didn't have the power to conquer Lori Harvey, because none of them could lock her down. So he saw this as a challenge unto himself, shooting his shot. The way that a man conquers a woman is by taking away her independence. This is when the marriage proposal comes. Marry you. I want to put you in a slave labor position. I want to knock you up with kids because I want to have a family, so that you'll be relegated to taking care of them and you lose your independence and your freedom. Lori Harvey's too smart for that. Number 40 of the 48 Laws of Power: despise the free lunch. The powerful learn early on to protect their most valuable. Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay. Taking away a woman's independence, how? First and foremost, let's address several things that went wrong in this video. Now, one of the things is saying that he's taking away her independence. Independence how? Since when? Let me tell you something. There is no such thing as being independent, technically speaking. What is independence? Now, this girl can be a go-getter, but there's no such thing as being independent. Because at the end of the day, you're still relying on people. You're still relying on things and resources. That's what you're relying on. All right? And this whole thing about marriage proposal and making somebody a slave and make them labor and all of that, where are you getting that from? The only thing I could think of that will make somebody be a slave and take away their independence will be forced marriage. Now, if you talk about marriage that's dealing with force or arranged marriage, then that's a different story, which I'm going to go into. But when you talk about marriage that's based on love, then that's not really taking away somebody's independence. I'm going to go ahead and continue to play the video. Then I'm going to give my response.
Resources, independence, and room to maneuver. By paying the full price, they keep themselves free of dangerous entanglements and worries. She makes her own money. She doesn't need his. Lori loves herself, so she doesn't need a man to love her. Men got upset when I said that marriage does not benefit women. It benefits men, and women should be getting paid for all of the unpaid slave labor that they give in marriages, including having kids. Because as a surrogate, you should be getting herself, so she doesn't need a man to love her. Men got upset when I said that marriage does not benefit women. It benefits men, and women should be getting paid for all of the unpaid slave labor that they give in marriages, including having kids. Because as a surrogate, you should be getting $30,000 to $40,000 per child. And they said, it's your kid too. It is not when you want to knock her up with the kid. You want the family. Lori Harvey's a bad bitch because she can't be conquered with such things. Get your bag up, ladies. Love yourself and play with me. Lori Harvey is a bad bitch.
Okay. All right. Give me a moment, y'all. I gotta just process my thoughts for a moment. Any woman that take that advice, I'm gonna tell you something. If you take that advice from somebody like Princella, you setting yourself up for failure. No, I'm telling you the truth. You gonna set yourself up for failure. Do not take that type of advice, okay? Because first of all, what she's doing, she's misleading y'all. And I'm going to tell you why she's very misleading. There's various forms of marriage. Okay? There's various forms of marriage taking place. You got forced marriage. You got arranged marriage. You got love marriage. See, that's the part that she doesn't break down and talk about in that video segment. But here she is talking about something. If you're married, the man's supposed to give you $30,000 or $40,000 even after every child you have. What kind of shit is that? If the man's taking care of his parental duties and doing what he's supposed to as a parent, why do he need to pay her $30,000 or $40,000 per child, whatever? Now that'd be a different story if the parents were separated and the father is not fulfilling his obligation or taking care of his responsibility, then that's different, right? Or if the father claims that he doesn't want to be in the child's life and he would rather just give the child support or pay the woman or whatever, okay, that's different if he makes that arrangement. But if they're married and they take care and he's doing what he needs to do and he's taking care of his family, then all of that should not be necessary. What are you teaching women? And then you say marriage don't benefit the woman, it benefits the man. How? If they're in it together and they love one another, how would it just be beneficial for the man? Unless if it's a forced marriage or arranged marriage, then yeah, I can agree on that because it was against people's will. But if two people love each other and they come in unison, then it should benefit the both of them. It should not just benefit one party. It should benefit the both of them. I mean, it's just very ridiculous. Like when I hear stuff like this is just very misleading. And last time I checked, this woman was married and she had a child. So you telling me that a woman get pregnant and start a family with a man is a form of slavery? So what are you gonna say to all these women out there who are married, happily married, got a family? You gonna tell them that they done gave into slavery? That's what you gonna tell them. So you telling me that children are part of slavery? See, this is why people like this need to study history on slavery. Because you can't just use that word around, toss the word around because you had a bad experience in your relationship. That's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like to me a bitter woman who had bad experience in a relationship. Instead of giving women friendly advice and say, ladies, please be mindful and be careful and pay attention to who you allow into your life. You teaching women how to put themselves in a situation that's going to do a disservice to them in the long run. That's what you're teaching them how to do. Now, maybe Lori wasn't ready to be married, and that's fine. She's not ready. It's okay. But the way you put up as if men are the most horrible human beings on the planet. Now, there are men who have done horrific things in history. Yes, there are men who have done a lot of heinous things towards women. Yes, I do agree. And those men should not be recognized or respected by women, especially if they have done those horrific things. But we have to be careful when we put everybody into a box. Because, see, this the kind of attitude, this right here creates the dichotomy amongst male and females. Instead of addressing the problem and being able to learn how to look at the problem and be able to separate between these individuals over here and those individuals over there, you create a dichotomy. It's people like her, Cynthia G, and Kevin Samuel, Tommy Sotomayor, Tariq Nasheed, all the rest of them, they create dichotomies. They're not giving practical solution. That is let me play the video again. Because this is a bad example right here. It's really terrible.
I teach women how to go from pawns to queens.
Let me.
35. I teach women who's posted by quick. 35 years old, physically fit, hairline intact, well dressed, posted by a man. 35 years real quick. This was posted by a man. 35 years old, physically fit, hairline intact, well-dressed, articulate, driven, 25 M's in the bank, highly respected in this field, no kids, grew up in a two-parent household, opened up about his feelings when he always kept his personal life private in the past and was described as being caring, affectionate, and romantic. Didn't care about past alleged relationships with Diddy's son, and future. Rumors are he wanted to get married and start a family, and that's what caused the rift. If they're not ready, they're not ready. And if they aren't, it doesn't matter what someone brings to the table. His description romanticizes Michael B. Jordan as the perfect man, knight, shining armor, and Prince Charming. Queens.
Ooh.
Hello, sir.
Hold on.
Thank you for leaving your comment. Those who
Hold on. Let me go back to that video.
Those who frequently listen to me know how often I reference the people.
Let me go back to that video. I'm sorry. Let me find that video. Hold
On
on.
the chessboard.
Let me find the video. It's somewhere on here. I just lost the. Give me a moment. I just lost the video. Shit.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for your.
You know what?
Listen up.
You know what? I can't find the video. I just lost the video, but
This comment.
I just lost that video. But again, y'all got the legit of it. Y'all can go look up I am Priscilla Clark. This is just ridiculous, man. Those kind of people you got to watch out for. You got to be careful who you listen to, because those individuals will set you up for failure in the long run. You can't go around here and be playing chess move on everybody. You better be diligent and you better be smart about what you're doing. You got some woman tell you that marriage is slavery, but don't tell you what type of marriage is she speaking of. So you making women out there feel guilty about the fact they got married and had a family because you didn't have a successful relationship. That's what it was. That's what it sounds like. And anybody that go along with the narrative, yeah, something's wrong with y'all. People been getting married for years, and it was not always about monetary stuff. It wasn't always about just pleasing one person. It was about the unison. It was about building the foundation. How you think humanity got here? If that's the case, yeah, people are born outside of wedlock. Yeah, people have a relationship where they're not married. But then there are those who are born into a marriage and born into a family. They want to create their own family. And you can't tell somebody who want to create a family or start a family that that's a form of slavery. This is just very senile and retarded. It's very senile and retarded when somebody think like this. Let me go into what is love marriage. Let's look at love marriage first. Okay, because this is important. A love marriage is one which is driven solely by the couple, with or without consent of their parents, as opposed to arranged marriage. While there is no clear definition of love marriage, the term was in common use globally during the Victorian era. It is still used in Commonwealth countries of India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and as well as Nepal and Egypt. Okay. So it goes into the example of different places, right? That's love marriage. Okay. So that's marriage that's based on with or without parents' consent. So that means based on the fact that you have a strong affection for another person, and you both have a lot in common and y'all want to start a family, that's where love marriage come in. Now let's look at the arranged marriage. Now you could say arranged marriage will be like a form of slavery. Let me explain why once I pull it up. Arranged marriage is a type of marital union where the bride and groom are primarily selected by individuals other than the couple themselves, particularly by family members such as the parents. In some culture, a professional matchmaker may be used to find a spouse for a young person. Arranged marriages have historically been prominent in many cultures. The practice remains common in many regions, notably South Asia, the Middle East Asia, North Africa, and the Caucasus. In many other parts of the world, the practice has declined substantially during the 19th and 20th centuries. Now, go down to talk about the history. It says arranged marriages were very common throughout the world until the 18th century. Typically, marriages were arranged by parents, grandparents, or other relatives and closest trusted friends. Some historical exceptions are known, such as courtship and betrothal rituals during the Renaissance period of Italy and Grandavara Viva in the Vedic period of India. Okay, now go down here to talk about United States. Until the first half of the 20th century, arranged marriages were common in migrant families in the United States. There were sometimes called picture bride marriages among Japanese American immigrants because the bride and groom knew each other only through the exchange of photographs before the day of their marriage. These marriages among immigrants were typically arranged by parents or relatives from the country of their origin. As immigrants settled in and melded into a new culture, arranged marriages shifted first to quasi-arranged marriages where parents or friends made introduction and the couples met before the marriage. Over time, the marriage among the descendants of these immigrants shifted to autonomous marriages driven by individuals' choice, dating, or courtship preferences, along with an increase in interracial marriages. Some historical dynamics are claimed in other parts of the world. All right. Now, let me show you this. It says enforcement. A woman who refuses to go through with an arranged marriage, tries to leave an arranged marriage via divorce, or is suspected of any kind of immoral behavior, may be considered to have dishonored her entire family. This being the case, her male relatives may be ridiculed or harassed, and any of her siblings may find it impossible to enter into marriage. In these cases, killing the woman is a way for the family to enforce the institution of arranged marriages. Unlike cases of domestic violence, honor killings are often done publicly for all to see, and there are frequently family members involved in the act. Now, as you can see right here, this is why arranged marriages will be considered as slavery. Because if the woman refused to get into the marriage of someone that her parents selected, they can kill her. Okay? They can take her out the picture. All right? So yes, arranged marriage, that would be a form of slavery. Now, forced marriage is far more worse. Forced marriages is far more worse than arranged marriage. Why? Because in this case, you don't deal with parental consent. It says forced marriage is a marriage in which one or more of the parties is married without their consent or against their will. A marriage can also become forced marriage even if both parties enter with full consent, if one or both are later forced to stay in the marriage against their will. All right. Now it says a forced marriage differs from an arranged marriage in which both parties presumably consent to assistance of their parents or a third party, such as a matchmaker, in finding and choosing a spouse. There is often a continuum of coercion used to compel a marriage, ranging from outright physical violence to subtle psychological pressure. Though now widely condemned by international opinion, forced marriage still take place in various cultures across the world, particularly in parts of South Asia and Africa. Some scholars object to use the term of forced marriage because it invokes the consensual legitimizing language of marriage, such as husband and wife, for experience that is precisely the opposite. A variety of alternative terms have been proposed, including forced cultural or conjunctural association with conjunctural slavery. All right. All right, so yeah, those are the various forms of marriages, okay? And there's also books you can check on it. And articles as well. So one article I found is called Arranged or Love Marriage. That is question. Arranged or love marriage, that is the question. Come from Applied Economic Letters, 2002. Okay. So this was written by Amartaraje A. Batabao and Hamid Baladi. If I'm saying their name correctly, I'm not good with foreign names like that. Okay. This goes into the concept about the differences between arranged marriage and love marriages and whatnot. So this is the article on it. I'm not gonna go into that article, but I just want to show you guys. All right. And let's look at forced marriage. There's a book about forced marriage. Okay, so you guys can check this book out. It's called Forced Marriage, Introducing a Social Justice and Human Rights Perspective by Aisha K. Gill and Sundari and Nithya. All right, and then there's another one about the history of slave marriage in the United States. So that means marriages among slaves. Okay, at one point in time, see, this is what people don't know. That slaves were prohibited to marry one another. At one point in time, they were prohibited because they were slaves. And the only way they were going to get married if the slave master picked the spouse for them. But at one point in time, slaves could not get married. They could not marry each other. Now, if they was already in marriage before they got into slavery, then that part was a different story. But if a slave master owned this person over here and that person tried to call himself wanting to get married to that other slave across the street, it wasn't really going to happen without the consent of the slave master. So let me show you guys. Check this out. Let's go into it. Let's go into it right quick. The History of Slave Marriage in the United States by Darlene C. Gorin. Check this out. Let me zoom it up for y'all. The slave has no right. Of course, he or she cannot have the rights of a husband or a wife. The slave is a chattel, and chattels do not marry. The slave is not ranked among sentient beings, but among things, and things are not married. All right, so let's look at the introduction. Let's look at the introduction right here. All right, so the American paradigm of legally permissible marital relationship was shaped by the African American slave experience. Colonial and antebellum legislation and jurisprudence prohibited marriages between bonded slaves. The end of the Civil War and the passage of the 13th Amendment brought post-bellum recognition of marriages between emancipated African slaves, and the Supreme Court decision in Loving versus Virginia in 1967 recognized an even more expansive definition of marital paradigm that include legal protection of marriages between mixed-race couples. The boundary of this paradigm is currently being tested in federal and state courts and legislature, as well as the court of public opinion, as group of gay and lesbian couples seek the legal recognition and protection associated with legislative and judicial sanction of their relationship. The cultural and judicial scope of legally permissible marital relationship was raised to a dramatic level of scrutiny following the 2004 decision Goodrich versus Department of Public Health. There, the Supreme Judicial Court of Massachusetts held that the Commonwealth denial of marriage license to same-sex couple violated the equal protection principle of the Massachusetts Constitution. Okay. So now, let's skip down. Let's go down to where they talk about marriages between human chattel. Check this out. African American evolved socially and culturally from being legally defined as chattel and denied basic human and civil rights. The Declaration of Independence proclaimed that all men are created equal and that they are endowed with certain inalienable rights, including the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. There was, however, an asterisk on this proclamation that limited this grant of rights only to white males. Although gay white males may have been socially and culturally deprived of rights and excluded from some institutions such as marriage, they were not wholly excluded from the Declaration of Independence and deemed the property of others by default. So it says African Americans fare only marginally better under the provision of the United States Constitution. The Article 1(2) slaves were reduced to equivalent only of 3/5 of a person for the purpose of apportioning representatives and tax obligation for each state. So Article 1, Section 9 sanctioned the continued importation of slaves to the United States until 1808. And Article number 4, Section 2, prevented runaway slaves from seeking safe haven in free northern states by requiring them return of fugitive slaves to their master. All right. Then it goes on to say the jurisprudence of both the state and federal government reinforced the notion that slaves were chattel devoid of any civil rights. The diminished status of African slave began in 1705 with the promulgation of the first slave codes that defined and governed the lives of African slaves during the antebellum period. As chattel slaves were considered items of personality with little to distinguish them from horses, cows, or farms equipment. During the antebellum period, each slave's holding state of the Union regulated the condition and legal status of slaves through slave codes. These codes govern every facet of slave life. Slaves could not own, rent, or transfer real property, own personal property, or make or enter into any civil contracts. Lawfully be taught to read or write, or exert dominion over their physical body or surroundings. In addition, slaves lacked the ability to receive real or personal property either by inheritance or intestacy. And just to leave it at there, I won't go any further, but this is the article that deals with the history of slave marriage in the United States by Darlene Gorin from Louisiana State University Law Center back in 2006. That's when it was written. Okay. All right. So getting back to my point, you can't go around here teaching people that marriage is solely based on slavery, because that's not true. That's totally false. Now, again, as I mentioned, there is various forms of marriages. All right. You got marriages that's based on love. You have marriages that's being forced. That's marriages that's being arranged. People in this day and age, right, in the United States particularly, most of the time when they get married because they choose to do so. It's based on choice. It's not based on being in form of slavery unless there's sex trafficking going on, with that exception. But outside that, telling somebody, especially a woman who wants to start a family, that they should not get married and that they should not be a pawn and all of that. That's where you're misleading. You're misleading them. You're misleading them to the point where when somebody that is interested in them come along and wants to marry them, they don't want to be bothered because they have this mentality that they can just play everybody like a chess game and that's it. If that's the case, it's better not to even get into a relationship. That's your best bet. Don't get into a relationship. If you know you don't want to be ready and you're not ready to settle down, then that's okay. You don't have to. You don't have to settle down. But you don't have to go around here being no goddamn player and try to play a chess move on every single person because you want to prove that you're a queen. You don't have to do all that. And then you don't have to sit here and tell your husband that he got to give you $30,000 a month or a year for every child. Like, how? That's I'm still baffled by that. And I'm going to find that video because I'm going to play the video again. I'm going to play the video again only because this is, I got to play the video. Let me find that video again.
Bad bitch. I teach women how to go from pawns to queens real quick. This was posted by a man. 35 years old, physically fit, hairline intact, well-dressed, articulate, driven, 25 M's in the bank, highly respected in his field, no kids, grew up in a two-parent household, opened up about his feelings when he always kept his personal life private in the past and was described as being caring, affectionate, and romantic. Didn't care about past alleged relationships with Diddy's son, and future. Rumors are he wanted to get married and start a family, and that's what caused the rift. If they're not ready, they're not ready. And if they aren't, it doesn't matter what someone brings to the table. His description romanticizes Michael B. Jordan as the perfect man, knight shining armor, and Prince Charming. Queens don't operate that, and they don't buy into fantasies or illusions. They keep it real. The queen is the most powerful piece on the chessboard because she is free, uninhibited, and can move anywhere on the board that she likes. Law number 20 of the 48 laws of power: do not commit. Lori Harvey is a bad bitch. I teach women how to go from.
Let me tell you something. I play the game of chess from time to time. I play the game of chess. Okay, let me tell y'all something. Let me tell you something. Yes, the queen is the most powerful piece on the board, but also the queen can get checked by other pieces on the board too. See, that's the part she don't tell you. Yeah, the queen is the powerful piece on the board and she can maneuver how she wants to, but at the same time, the queen can get taken off the board. So if you come across a rook, right? So the rook is, okay, how the rook moves like a cross. So that's the third most powerful piece, right? Well, no, the second most powerful piece. So if the queen comes across that rook and the rook takes her out, then guess what? She lost her position in power. The bishop can take the queen out. The knight can take the queen out. And even the pawn can take the queen out. The pawn can take the queen out. If the queen get close enough to that pawn and the queen get caught slipping, the pawn can take her out. Then what powerful piece do you have left on the board? If the queen is taken out the picture, you got the rook, you got the bishop, you got the knight, or one of the pawns might turn into a queen. See, this is what she don't tell y'all. You know what I'm saying? See, she say that the queen is the powerful piece on the board. Yes, it is. The queen is the most powerful piece. But at the same time, the queen can get taken out too if she's not careful how she's moving. The queen can get taken out too if she get caught slipping. So for those of you that know how to play the game of chess, right? Now, chess is a very complicated game. I'm going to be honest about that. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm still learning how to checkmate. That's the only thing that's hard about chess is learning how to checkmate. Because you got to know if you're in checkmate mode. But when you check the king, that's easy. When you're able to take other pieces out, that's pretty easy to do. But it's like how you move around, how you move your pieces. Because if you don't move your queen in the position where she can be able to maneuver around, then she can be put in danger. And when she can be put in danger, then those other pieces come along and take her out. So either that pawn is going to replace her, or the bishop or the knight or the rook is going to take her out because she put into the wrong predicament. See, you can't talk about playing chess and being the queen on the board and not saying that the woman has to be careful how she moves. Because the queen got to be careful how she moves as well, because she can be put in danger. That's the same way with real life. You might be the queen and you think that you got a royal status or whatever, but if you're not careful how you move out here in these streets or out here in the world, you can put yourself in a dangerous predicament. You can set yourself up for failure. You can really set yourself up for failure at all costs. What was interesting though, this person was married. The person that was talking, that was playing the video clip that I played, that person was married. That person was married and had a child. So my thing is, wait a minute. If you knew all along that marriage is nothing than a form of slavery and having children is part of laboring, then why did you go through the process? Why did you go through the process of getting married and starting a family? Why? Why did you do it? Why did you do it? If you knew that's not what you wanted to do from Jump Street, because like I said, I'm familiar with that person. I heard that person's talking points. And I'm going to be honest with you, that person is a misandrist. Very misandry. Means that that person has a discrimination against the opposite sex of the male gender. And I've been saying that for the longest. Me and that person had fell out before. And that person don't really like me because I fell out with them. I tried to talk to the person and get them to have me on the platform so we can have a conversation. But nah, that person don't like me. And that's okay. And like I said, don't get me wrong, she's intelligent, but at the same time, she's misleading a lot of women. You putting women in a detrimental state. You're not saving them. You're not helping them. You're not teaching them how to be wise. You're teaching them how to fuck up their own lives. You're teaching women how to fuck up their own lives and how to mess themselves up in the long run. And that's not something you want to do. Yes, there are men who want to conquer and have power over women and control women, because those men are what you call the beta males. Those men are what you call the insecure men, the men that suffer from ego fragility. But a man who is very proud of himself, who don't have an ego problem, who's very humble, he don't have to go through all that to conquer a woman. Because he know that whether that woman will choose him or not, there's still option and there's still more women available for him. So whether that woman choose to marry him or be in a relationship with him, he can still always find somebody that's compatible to him. He can still find somebody that's compatible. He can still find somebody that want to be with him. He can always find that. So he ain't got to go through the process of trying to conquer her and try to have power over her and all of that. Because if he's a man of confidence and a man of humility, and that woman see who he is as far as his character is concerned, then she's going to, if she wants, she's going to gravitate to him. She's going to want to be with him. And she's going to naturally submit to him. And not submission in a way of slavery, but giving him her attention, giving him her time, and being able to put focus into their relationship. Okay? But if he a thirsty ass nigga that's going right here doing random shit and trying to do whatever he can to get the woman's attention, then she may not take the relationship very seriously because she know what his intention is. I gotta say, we gotta stop this. We gotta stop creating dichotomy amongst men and women. We gotta stop that. Because at the end of the day, you're gonna need both gender. You cannot operate in a world without men. And men cannot operate in a world without women. And I'm going to say that again. Women, you cannot operate in the world without men or the male gender. And females, and men, you cannot operate in the world without women or the female genders. You can't. It's impossible. This is why I'm against patriarchy and just matriarchy. If humans were able to balance and coexist with each other, we wouldn't have to worry about a matriarchal society, or we wouldn't have to worry about a patriarchal society. We wouldn't have to worry about that, because we'll be able to learn how to work together and be able to focus on common goals. But when you got somebody want to do things based on the patriarchal way, then it creates problems. And then when you got somebody that want to do things based on the matriarchal way, it creates another problem. So that's a problem. We don't have balance. We do not know how to balance. And by us, Black people, and I'm going to say it, and I'm going to keep on speaking on this. We are caught up in a culture that does not value us. I don't think you heard me. We are caught up in a culture that does not value our humanity as a people. So we carry on this culture ideology, this Eurocentric culture, this Western culture, and we try to incorporate things the way we want to incorporate, and it does not work for us. It does not work for us. This is what happened when you've been socially engineered and dealing with social constructs, and also, dealing with social constructs and social engineering. It brings about these type of learned behavior. So you got people like Princella that's going to be doing this talking point, people like Cynthia G, people like Tommy Sotomayor, Kevin Samuel, and all these various so-called relationship experts, Tariq Nasheed, that's going to talk a bunch of random stuff and not actually get into help you understand psychology and how to properly bring assessment to individuals before you even settle down with them or even have a relationship with them. They don't teach you how to properly assess them, how to properly ask questions, how to properly get to know somebody. You know what I'm saying? They get on here and they talk about, they dog each other out, bash each other out, talk about men ain't this, women ain't this. You gotta understand, Black women ain't this, Black men ain't this, and then you got a big old problem. You got a bunch of gender bias. So what we just witnessed in that video with Princella, that was nothing more than gender bias. And then she tried to use the 48 laws of power. Come on now, are you serious? Are you serious? No, are you really serious? 48 laws of power. Are you serious? Did you just use the 48 laws of power to condone this young lady? Do you even know what the true intentions was? Do you know why she turned him down? No, you don't know why. But I don't have anything else to say behind this. All I'm gonna say is majority of that shit that she was talking about in that video was very nonsensical. It was very nonsensical and it was very counterproductive. And it was not giving any type of help to these women out here. You cannot go around here and discouraging women from getting married. And that's exactly what she did. Talking about it's a form of slavery and children are part of the labor and you should get paid $50,000 or $34,000 a month or a year from your husband for all those times that you done had them kids. And then the part where she made a point about the baby, I guess she was giving an example saying that, well, the baby is also his. She was like, no, it ain't as much as his. If you done knock me up, it ain't really that much of yours. What? If you done knock me up, it ain't that much of yours. Wait a minute. Hold on. If he knocks you up, a child is born with two parents. A child is born with a mother and a father. A child is born with both. A child carries both parents' DNA, both parents' chromosome. Okay, you carry the patrilineal bloodline of your mother. Matrilineal bloodline of your mother and the patrilineal line of your father. You carry both of your parents' DNA. So just like the child is yours, it's just as much as his. And as I mentioned before, as long as he's taking care of his priority as a parent and as a husband, there will be no reason for you to do all of that. And let's be real, on average, most black men ain't making no money where they can give you $34,000 a month or $50,000 a year. Okay, most men are not making money like that. If you're gonna talk like that, you might as well go get you a multi-millionaire, billionaire to pay you that much amount of money, because the average man ain't making that kind of money to where he can give you $34,000 a month or $53,000 a year. That's just ludicrous. As long as he's taking care of his priority as a man and as a father, that is what matters the most. And can't nobody take away your independence. Now, are there people out there that's very controlling? Yeah, there can be people that's controlling. But if that man loves you and he values you enough, he ain't got to take away your independence. He ain't got to stop you from doing what you love to do. He's not going to really interfere with that. Okay? As a matter of fact, he will support you on whatever you're trying to do in life. Whatever goal you're trying to reach in life, if that man loves you enough, he's going to support you. He's going to be by your side 100%. So everybody's not out to take away a woman's independence and make her into a housewife and she got to sit around and breastfeed the baby and all this other stuff and she can't go nowhere, go hang out with friends or whatever. Everybody's not out to do that. And that's not right. Just because you as the person may have gone through a bad experience doesn't mean that somebody else is going to go through the same thing that you're going to go through. Okay, life is based on probability. I said it before. Life is based on probability. Okay, it's not based on absolute. That means that there's a chance something may happen. There's a chance something may occur. There's a chance that there's always a possibility chance something is going to happen. That doesn't mean that everything is going to be absolute. It's going to be permanent, because some things happens in life. That's why you have to learn how to be careful. Whether you are single or married, you got to be careful either way. And we have to look at that. We have to understand humans' behavior. We have to understand psychology. We got to deal with those things to give proper assessment. Not to go around here and talk about being some queen on a board game and how you make this man pay you this amount of money every month or every year for every child you done had and all this old foolishness, because that was straight foolishness. It's just so laughable. It was cringing. I'm like, is she serious? Like, what the hell is going on here? But I know this talking point because this ain't the first time she talked like that. That's her talking points. And that's what me and her had a clash about that, because I'm like, bro, you sound like a feminist. You sound like you a man basher. You a man basher. You sit here, you bashing men all day. Nobody wants to sit around and listen to that all the time. It's one thing to call out somebody and hold people accountable for their action, but it's another thing to sit around and bash all day long. That's just bashing and nagging. Nobody want to hear that. Same with Cynthia G. She does a lot of man bashing. Why? Why are you man bashing so much? What is wrong with you? You can't look at both sides of the problem. Why are you just so fixated saying, Black men this, black men that. Okay, what about black women? Black women can be part of the problem too. Or, you know, when you got the men over here, black women that, boo. What about black men? Black men can be a part of the problem. This is a human problem. It's not just a black woman's problem or a black man's problem. It's a human problem. And that's what we got to see. We got to be able to balance both things out. Okay, well, that's not an argument whether there's a such thing as matriarchy and patriarchy, because there's some culture that is centered on some matriarchal practices. Okay, there's certain culture that's based on matriarchal practices, and there's certain culture that's based on patriarchal practices. Now, in totality, in the world that we live in, it's more so patriarchal. I have to be honest about that. It's more so patriarchal. We live in a patriarchal world. All right. But what I'm saying is the concept of matriarchal society and patriarchal society has caused a destruction, has caused a rift in humanity. But since we've been under patriarchal society, it has caused a major rift and has caused a major destruction to humanity. So if humans can be able to balance power where it's not just totally matriarchal or totally patriarchal, and it's just a balance of power, then things will be a lot more smoother. But because everything is centered under a patriarchal idea, right? Mostly, or if in some culture, if it's matriarchal, then it creates a rift. It creates a problem. Because now you got a case of somebody trying to fight over who got more rights over humanity. And at the end of the day, we don't even have rights over ourselves. That's just my thing. It's just our culture is self-destructive. Yes, it is. It's very destructive. Very destructive. Very destructive. So, if a woman deserves compensation for being a mother, then a man deserves it for being a father. There you go. Not everybody believes in patriarchy, though. You can't say both sexes believe in it because not everybody believes in patriarchy. Some people believe in patriarchy, some people don't. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, you can teach it, but then they'll be fallacious. They'll be very fallacious to say that everybody believe in patriarchy. Everybody don't believe in patriarchy, and that's the reality. Everybody don't believe in patriarchy. Everybody don't believe in matriarchy. Everybody don't believe in it. Some people agree with it, some people don't. And that's the thing. That's right. The family unit has rights over humanity. Exactly. But let me see how much time I got left. All right, but you guys, that's all that I have for today. And I'll resume back to my regular topics as usual. But I had to get on here and address this subject. I had to, because it was just unorthodox to me. It was just so unorthodox and so insane. It was very insane. It was very insane. I just can't. I'm just baffled. I can't understand. For the life of me, I just don't get it. Show me a matriarchal family then. Well, I can't exactly show you a matriarchal family, but I can tell you that a lot of household is ran by the matriarchs. I can tell you that for sure. That a lot of household is ran by the matriarchs, but I can't show you a matriarchal family per se. But I could say that there's a lot of matriarchal household, as far as like it's ran by the female being the head of the house, and we see that a lot in our community. Maybe you're not paying attention, I don't know, but you can see that a lot in our community, that there is a lot more female head of household. You see what I'm saying? You'll see that a lot. You see that. So and for the most part, you're right. Big mama do run the family for the most part. For the most part, yes. For the most part, big mama is mainly the ones that keep the family together. Okay. All right. I'll leave it at that. All right. I'll leave it at that. All right. Well, I just, hey, that's your argument. I'll leave it at that. But anyways, you guys, let me go ahead and log off. You guys have a good one. Thank you all for single moms will get married. They're not opposed to it. I never said that. I never said single moms are not opposed to marriage. I mean, yeah, there are single women who are mothers who want to get married. But then there are those men who don't want to marry women with children. There are those men who don't want to marry women with children. there are those who don't. So, but yeah, there are single mothers who do want to get married. Okay, well, I mean, I can't say I fully agree with you. I would have to go and look more into that and see if marriage is a patriarchal idea. I would have to look more into that. Okay, I can't say that I agree or disagree with you. I would just say that I'll have to look into it. I would have to look into it, see if marriage is a patriarchal idea. And if it is, then I would stand correct. If it's not, then I would have to just show proof. But again, I can't say I agree to disagree because I'll be lying. So I don't know. I can't say who idea is who. All right, but y'all, I gotta go ahead and get up out of here for real though. And y'all have a good one. So that's my assessment. That's my thoughts on this whole thing. And yeah, please do not let anybody mislead you or discourage you from starting a family. If you want to start a family and you want to build a foundation or build your own tribe and build a legacy for yourself, then you do that. Don't let anyone discourage you. You know, especially to the ladies out there, do not let anybody else, especially another woman, tell you that you should not get married because it's a form of slavery and your child will be labored, as if that is a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. Yeah, it's not a bad thing. It depends on you. You just have to be careful. You just have to be careful who you marry to. You just got to do your background check. You got to ask questions. You don't just want to jump into a relationship with somebody and you don't really know them. Okay? So you got to be wise and diligent about that. But don't let anyone discourage you or tell you not to get married and not to start a family because they done had bad experiences or because they feel some kind of way, etc. Don't let that be a discouragement to you. All right, so again, till next time, y'all take it easy on yourself. Thank you guys for tuning in, watching. Thank you guys who have been subscribing to my channel, supporting my channel. I really appreciate that a lot. If you want to share this video, then you can go ahead and do so. If you want to, if you want to share this video, go ahead and do so. So in the near future, I'm going to try to get more and more people on here so I can have dialogues, conversation, and be able to talk about various subject matters. Dealing with history, science, philosophy, current events, political events, and stuff like that. I'm looking forward to doing more of that. So I'm working on that big time. I really am. But other than that, until next time, deuces. Be safe.